Welcome to Click Connect. I'm your host, Craig Sullivan. And today we've got another first-time guest, Mr. Andrew Post, hotel broker working across the country, based here in California, NewGen Advisories, Bowman Post Group. Andrew, welcome to the show. How are you and your family? You just had your fourth baby. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, we're doing great. We had another baby in April. We're wheeling and dealing, getting a lot of stuff over the finish line, painfully, but it's getting there. So it's going well.
I hear you. Well, let's just jump right into this. You opened up a new brokerage house in the middle of a global pandemic. What was that like? And tell us about your firm, please.
Well, let's see. Yes, the timing was lovely, I would say. Well, actually, I can say that sincerely because we started in January of 2020, so it was before we realized anything was happening. I think there was a little bit of talk about COVID in China, very small amount, but we kind of knew starting with the new group as part of NewGen's California office, we knew it was going to be a difficult or transitional year anyways. So we just really, hammered that home and made sure that we were a resource for as many people as we could be. Learned a ton of stuff about the tax code, PPP, EIDL, employee retention credit. So we just tried to be as available to our clients as we could. And, it was great to have NewGen Advisory from, in their Phoenix office. Got a great team, very knowledgeable guys, definitely very helpful when it came to, understanding what was going on. A lot of them actually own some hotels themselves. So it really helped to get that perspective as well.
Very nice. Now, who's in your California office? Now, I know David Bowman is, and actually the last time I saw David was at my conference, which was, and I hate having this title, but we were the last hotel investment conference of 2020. We were on March 5th, and a week later, the whole planet was on fire with COVID-19. So who's in your office?
Well, first off, you got to embrace that. That's a claim to fame. But let's see.
What I don't want.
I hear you. So let's see. In the office, we got Dave Bowman. We got Tim Post, my dad, who's a vet. He's been at it since I think the early 90s, mid 90s. Then we've got Mac Blyer. We've also we just hired a few interns to help with a lot of the admin stuff, and then we've got two admin support, one of which is my wife and one of which is Anthony Becerra, who's actually in the Phoenix office, but he's our transaction coordinator and admin assistant there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you're not just doing deals in California and Arizona. You've got a national reach, and I know you've closed deals in some 30-odd some states, so there's a whole wealth of expertise that you and your teams have. So I know you've been closing deals, so what's that been like getting deals closed, this past year? And how many have you closed, do you know?
So let's see, this year we've got, or I personally have just 2 under my belt with another 4 under contract and 3 working towards purchase contracts.
Nice.
Again, working towards purchase contracts is very, very early in the stage. But let's see, I actually don't think I have a single deal in the same state. We've got one in Washington. We've got one in Illinois. We closed one in Wisconsin and North Carolina. We've got another one in Connecticut. We're working towards contracts on 2 in Ohio, as well as, tentatively a few in Nebraska and Texas. So we're all over the place. And you mentioned that we've closed in about 30 states. I think it might be a bit more than that simply because of Dave Bowman. He's been at this a long time and has closed a lot of properties in a lot of different states. So I got to definitely get a plug for Dave. He's the guru.
He is. He's a hard worker and one of the nicest people you could ever hope to meet, as is your dad. And I've worked with them for a number of years. So, what do you, I know that, customer service, or actually I should say client services, grocery stores have customers, we have clients and guests. So what's it been like working with your clients through this? I mean, I know you're very heavily involved with picking up the phone and seeing how your clients are doing and what they have to report. What's been going on there? And have you
Yeah.
been experiencing an optimism for about the past 45 days now that we haven't had in over a year?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think if we look at the difference in how I'm interacting with clients from the last 60 days to a year ago is just such a stark contrast. Early on it was you're trying to make sure that their heads aren't in the weeds and they understand that there's resources out there, because a lot of people, they know their staff, they know the schedule, they know the customers that they have coming into the hotel, but they don't know what they need to do for PPP or for EIDL or for employee retention credit or for all these other programs that are out there. So trying to make sure that even though someone may own a few hotels, they may not have the time or the resources to really delve into it and understand it. So we kind of took that role early on. But now I'd say the shift is a lot of guys, at least in most of the products that we sell, which I kind of call myself the comfort and down guy. I don't do a whole lot of the upper tier sales, but in those we're seeing revenues in a lot of bigger cities and smaller cities that are north of 2019. So a lot of buyers are very aggressively trying to get into deals. And a lot of them feel that they may have missed the boat from last year, which who would have known that the bottom would have come so quickly for some of these areas. But the optimism from buyers is definitely there. I have had to deal with a few conversations with sellers where they want to increase pricing now that revenue is coming back, which is always a challenge. Always a challenge, but I understand that, hey, they got beat up last year, so now it's time to maybe recoup some of that, which I understand. So that's been fun.
Yeah, and I can imagine it has been. Now, are your clients now working on getting forgiveness for those PPP loans, and are they looking to hold? They looking to sell? Are they looking to refinance? A little bit of all of the above at this point.
I think there's not really some general consensus amongst the sellers. Let me regarding PPP. Most of the guys I've talked to, they've gotten PPP round 1 forgiveness. PPP
Good.
round 2, they have applied.
Okay.
They were supposed to streamline the process for anything under 150,000, but streamline and government entity is kind of a conundrum in and of itself.
Right.
But most of them have submitted their applications for those. But I actually don't think I know of anyone that has gotten their PPP round 2 forgiven at this point. But I expect to see that very soon, because we're starting to see that some of the deals that we're closing, the lenders are requiring that round 2 PPP to be held back actually without the forgiveness. So that's bringing up some other potential issues. So there's that. And then refinances, I'm not seeing a lot of them. It's very difficult to get lenders to go and refinance deals. They're trying to make sure that their current hotel portfolio is performing. As for a general consensus, it's kind of back to where it was in 18 or 19. People that are selling for reasons of, hey, I want to own closer to home, whether it's a personal reason or whether, it's time for a PIP. I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather sell it before I have to do that. There's a lot of that happening, but it's more of an individual basis at this point. It's kind of back to where we were. I don't think sellers are in a position where they're being forced to sell. And again, this is in the areas that I focus on, which is that comfort and down. I have seen a couple note sales start to hit the market on the bigger property. So I think we'll start to see more of that. But again, not a whole lot of what I do is in that realm.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be on a limited basis. I mean, the lenders that I'm talking to, they're very heavily vested in branded, select, extended stay arenas. Some limited boutique and some limited full service, but really it's that select service and extended stay arena. And I know as long as the ownership group has been transparent with the lender and treating the lender like the partner that they really are, and they've gone back to them to, get an advance out of CapEx and a few other things to weather the storm. I think there's some real good possibilities there. Now, if you've been dormant and you're not talking to your lender and you got a loan coming up, I think you got some problems.
Yeah, if your major airport convention with CMBS dead and full service, then I think it's time to. If you haven't reached out to them, you definitely need to have that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with your sales, are you financing those mainly through SBA right now? Is that what it's been?
Yes, one of one of them is through because it's a conversion to housing. That's going to most likely where the affordable housing group, the way that they typically do is they go through the entitlement process and then assign the contract to the county, and that's in King County, Washington, where most of the COVID stuff began. So this is taking longer than we had expected, but there's another one we're doing a loan assumption out in Connecticut. And then the other deals are SBA or USDA. I'm strongly encouraging buyers to look into USDA financing as the appetite for secondary and tertiary markets grows. If the population's under 50,000, obviously you got to look at the USDA guidelines, but it's a phenomenal pool of money that a lot of people don't tap into.
I agree with you on that. And, prior to the financial meltdown, I had some clients doing that and tapping into those. And at that time, like with the SBA loans, there was a green component. So if you were able to prove that, part of the funds was going to buy energy efficient bulbs, televisions, sensors, various other things, you could get a little bit more money as well.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that's still going on, correct?
It is. I think they've. I was working with a group, Intermountain Management out of Monroe, and they were big on the SBA 504 Green, Dewey Weaver and those guys, and they were brilliant with it. And I remember it used to just be the LED bulbs they had to do. Now I think they've increased the requirement to solar panels and things of that sort. So I think we will see some more creative financing towards that. But personally, I think USDA is just a phenomenal one to look at. I did a deal in San Luis Obispo, and I didn't realize that San Luis Obispo had under 50,000 people. Yeah. But it was 46,000, and the guy got a USDA 20% down. Brilliant.
Love it.
Just brilliant.
That is brilliant. So what are you hearing from the brands out there right now, Andrew? I know you've got to be talking to all the franchise development teams.
Oh, yeah.
They got some good news for you. They've got some good news for your owners / buyers / sellers.
Well, most of the franchise reps that I speak to are on the conversion basis. And I would say that pretty much everyone is happy to look at a conversion. They're trying to grow that brand presence. I was surprised to hear that some of the Marriott and Hilton and IHG brands were willing to throw some flags on properties that they otherwise would not have looked at in 17, 18, 19. So I think they're seeing that as new development slows dramatically, you're going to see a lot more flexibility on conversion properties. Not change of use, just conversion within hotel brands. I think that I always tell people there's 3 types of PIPs. You got conversion, transfer, and same owner. Conversion's the best one for you. Transfer is the worst one for the buyer. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. I'm actually doing 2 separate conversions right now, both to Motel 6, of course, because why not?
No, absolutely. And I talk to the brand people all the time, and we've now got 9 different brands involved with the California Lodging Investment Conference, and each and every one of them said, you know what, Craig, conversions are going to be the backbone of our business for the next 24 months, if not longer. So I think it's an opportune time to seriously look at that conversion and see where you can, have a savings, but still have a great res system to help you out and everything else that comes with the brands and their support. So, my friend, we are just about out of time. So how can people get a hold of you and your team and maybe give you a listing, a consulting gig, something, Andrew?
Well, let's see. We're here in Westlake Village. If you want to drop in, please do. Let's see. My phone number is 805-557-8857. Give me a call. My email is apost@newgenadv.com. And we'll be at the AHOA convention unless that gets canceled last minute like they did last year. But we will be there if it is happening. So I hope to see everyone in Dallas.
Well, I think everybody's going to be there, my friend. I know Glenn Hausman and I are going to be there, and we're doing a live broadcast from AHOA. So, yeah, it's happening. So
sounds great.
Thank you for joining us today, Andrew. And you've got an open invitation to come back anytime you'd like to. So thank you very
Craig.
much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.
You got it. And I'd like to thank our production partners today, Red Roof Franchising and Chicago Titles National Commercial Services Group. And guess what? You can be part of the Bowman Post team at CLIC 5 live and in person on October 5th at the JW Marriott, the Anaheim Resort. And there's a scroll going on the screen right now, and you can see the website and you can see a discount code there. We've got 9 brands there. We've got lenders that are making loans. We've got third-party professionals. We've got some great speakers on, well, I shouldn't say some. We've got great speakers on every panel. And we've got Bruce Ford as our keynote. So I'd like to thank you, our audience, for joining us today as well. And also, remember, be kind, share your knowledge. Now go be amazing.